amazing Christmas and you're enjoying either your day off with family or if you're like me, you're going to be going back to work in a few minutes, but it's all good. So I just wanted to jump on here and give you guys an update on what's going on just with writing and how I'm wrapping up the year, as well as sort of planning for next year as well too. So book 2 in my new series, The Trouble with Empaths, is actually gone to my editor, the proofreader specifically. So, and I have a final launch date. It's going to be March 17th. I'm so excited about that. So that was the original date that I had, and I'm glad to be able to stick to it. I haven't put the book up for pre-order as yet, but I am going to be working on that. If not next week, then very early in January. So, and then a book 3 on literally January 1st, I go back to working on book 3 in the series, which is called The Trouble with Healers, and that is the final book in this series. I decided to just keep it to 3 books just because I'm writing in a genre that I don't normally write in, and while I am excited that I got to put these books out into the world because they are just, it was just a story that had been percolating in my brain for about 20 years. So I'm really glad to get them out. I love the way the characters and the stories unfolded. But quite honestly, I am excited to get back into writing suspense and mystery. I realize that that is really my genre and my sweet spot. So that writing this series sort of highlighted that. So I'm excited to dive back in and to just realize that that is my sweet spot. So book 3, I start writing that. And one of the great things about the last book in the series, is that I start to introduce characters from the new series which is tied in indirectly to my Deadly series, which was set in the Cayman Islands. So in book 3, the Trouble with Healers, we go back to the Cayman Islands, and then that's where that series sort of takes off. Now, at the moment, I've got about 11 story ideas. So I'm really excited about that, and I get to set the foundation in the book that I'm returning to writing on January 1st. I'm at about 22,000 words in. I had a really, not major, but a huge plot issue that I really was trying to resolve, and thankfully some friends from a writing group really challenged me to think outside the box. And while I was walking around one morning, I figured out how to resolve the issue. So I'm really excited about that, and without having to make any major changes to what I've already written, because as I said, I'm about 22,000 words in. I don't know what the final word count is going to be, but usually I settle between 80 and 85,000 words when I'm writing. And as I mentioned, I'm so excited because towards the middle and end of the book, I am going to be, like I said, setting the foundation for the new series and introducing some characters. And the best part is that the series is really going to have some amazing gifts that the characters are going to have, and I'm really excited to explore those, because as I was doing research for this series, I uncovered just like a plethora of gifts that have been either recorded or mentioned. I'm sorry, it's a dog in the background. So I'm really, I hadn't even considered or thought about or even aware of. So I'm really excited to dive in and explore, because I kind of touched on a couple of them that I was like, ooh, but during my research, it really uncovered the possibilities. So I'm really excited to dive into those and explore those gifts and the characters that are going to have those gifts. And I think a lot of them are going to fit really nicely into the story ideas that I have so far, which are about 11. And the great part is that my original Deadly series, which was Deadly Bloodlines, Deadly Family, and Deadly Race, they each have even though they're part of the series, they're each a little bit different. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I have to rewrite the series so they kind of flow and fit better. But as I was kind of thinking and expanding ideas for the series in general, I was really able to identify how each book separately really could branch off into its own unique kind of themes. So, like for instance, Deadly Bloodlines really tackles sort of ghosts and trying to think of the word now, curses, things like that. Each one of them has family drama. That's just always a theme in my books. But the part I like about Deadly Bloodlines is that allows me to expand in a theme with different ideas that are indirectly related to the core of that book. So I'm really excited about that. And then Deadly Race kind of touches on, there's no sort of supernatural, whereas in book one there's a little bit of supernatural in there, and in book two there is no supernatural, but there is stalkers and not cults, stalkers and just women with just unique, well, maybe not unique, but different careers. For instance, Deadly Race, my main character, she's a female race car driver. So I'm going to explore not so conventional careers for women within that series. And then the third book in the series, which is Deadly Family, really tackles a little bit darker topics with cults and societies, things like that, within that series. So although I originally thought that I was going to rewrite the series so that it sort of the themes were the same, I realized that actually I can use the unique theme of each book to create sort of sub-series and themes from each series. So that's been interesting to explore, and that's kind of how I came up with the 11 story ideas that I did, which are going to branch off from each one of those. So that is, I'm really excited to dive into those. And as I mentioned, they dive back into suspense. All my characters are going to have gifts that are sort of unique to them and that fit into the story. So that's where we're at with as far as book updates and what's going to be happening there. As far as the end of the year, I'm just trying to wrap up sort of, I think it was in September, kind of mapped out the last quarter of the year and just sort of things that I really wanted to achieve to set myself up for success in the new year, which I usually do. But I realized that there were certain areas within either in my personal life as well as my author life that I had that sort of fallen through the cracks, or there were just things that were sort of there that I hadn't been dealing with. So I just took the last quarter as an opportunity to really look at those and, lay them out. And what I like to do is reverse engineer the tasks and figure out how am I going to achieve these before the end of the year so that I wrap up the end of the year strong, and or I set myself up to achieve them in the new year, because a lot of tasks tend to be linked to some of the things that I want to achieve in the new year. And so I'm pretty much wrapped up. There's one or two things that I still have to finalize, so I'm really excited about that and getting that done. The biggest one is my website, but that's a whole other video. So as far as planning in the new year, I've created a lot. I've been working on a lot of systems and structures. If you've been following me a while, you know that I love systems, processes, checklists, things like that to help me sort of create not just systems, but also just to make it easier for me to do things that I need to do as a writer. Because let's face it, writing life, there's a lot of moving parts, and these systems and checklists help me to be able to be consistent with it and be able to have a process so that I know, oh, what is it I need to do at this stage. And one of the things I just finished, which has been on my list for the longest time, and I'm so excited to actually get it done, is my book launch. And I created a book launch checklist. There's more to it than that. I created sort of the whole workflow, and then I realized sort of start to finish, what are all the things that I needed to achieve in order to launch my book, and then what are all the forms, spreadsheets, all those things that I need in order to be able to launch my book from start to finish. And then also, at the moment, I have it 30 days after the launch. I am so excited to get that done because, like I said, that's been percolating for about 4 or 5 years, and I've been kind of doing things here and there and trying different things. And I know me, I will continue to try different things, but at the same time, I'm glad to have the workflow sorted out and identified what forms that I need in order to be able to move forward with getting that set in place and structured, and then really sort of diving in and testing each thing. So I'm excited about getting that done. And I know I've said it, I'm excited a lot, but I really am. So now, with regards to planning for next year, like I said, I got that process for launching my book out of the way. So I'm glad that that's done and set up, and I get to test it with my latest book, book 2, which is The Trouble with Empaths. So I dive into that. I'm a little bit behind because the book launches in, well, not too bad, 3 months. So that's actually not that bad. So that gives me 3 months to sort of put in place the launch checklist and the whole process that I've had in place. I get to roll that out with this book and test it. So I'm thrilled about being able to do that. And as far as planning for the new year, I've had 2 new things that I put in place, or I should say one of them I brought back. One is a annual calendar for not only my tasks broken out in 90-day increments, which are not 90, 120 days increments. 90 days, I know everybody says is sort of the sweet spot. For me, I like the 120, which is basically 4 months instead of 3, and that seems to be works for me better. So that's kind of how I've done that. So I have an annual calendar that's broken out into 4-month quarters, and then I also created this year, which I'm really excited to roll out. And so far, it's been working good. My VA and I, virtual assistant, have been working with a content calendar, and we've been tweaking it and adding it and just working out what works for her as far as what she needs from me, and from me what I need to, as far as making sure that the content is consistent on my social media pages, including my emails. So that has been, I think we're not 100% there, but we're there well enough that I've taken it a step further, and I've created a annual content calendar. So each month is laid out, and it has sort of book birthdays, specific content themes that I want to do for each month that are tied back to my book. So that will help my VA know what images that I need created, and it will really help me with knowing what content I need to write for those themes for each month, or whether it's a book birthday, things like that. So that is, and also it includes everything that I'm doing with my launch for my next book, The Trouble with Empaths. So that is something new that I'm rolling out, in addition to using the social media content, which breaks it down in a little bit more detail as far as what's posted each day, where it's posted, and I add my caption that I want to include, and then my VA, and it has a calendar, so 5 days a week, or technically 7 days a week, and what's going to be posted each day. And the other tab on the spreadsheet actually tracks the caption that she needs to go with that image. And there's a lot of tabs that captures a lot of information, but that's the core of it. So those two are really going to work together to make the content, and being consistent with my content, consistent in the new year. So I'm trying that out, and I'm really interested to see how that actually plays out. But I've used it for the last couple of months, so far so good. So we'll see how that works with the launch. And let's see, we talked about that. And one of the things that I did is I sent out a survey for my readers to kind of get some feedback from them as far as what they enjoy, as far as content, what I'm sharing with them, what I've been giving them from an author, and whether those are things that they're continuing to enjoy, as well as asking them some of the things that they would like to see from me in the new year. And these are people that are on my email list, and I post it on social media, and I'll actually post it here as well too on YouTube. So if you're following me, keep your eye open for that post. If you enjoy doing surveys, and if you've been enjoy enjoying my content, you can fill out that survey. It literally takes 3 minutes because I don't like doing surveys myself. So I always make sure that when I do a survey, it's short and sweet. And it's just really to give me feedback on the content that I've been sharing here, what you've been enjoying, what you've been not. And I've also opened up the ARC readers for book 2, The Trouble with Empaths. So there'll also be a post there about that one. So if you enjoy being an ARC reader and you would be interested in reading my books, or if you've already read one of my books and you're interested in continuing again, I will send out a message. But just so you know, I will leave the link for that ARC as well as the survey there. So whichever one, or if you'd like to do both, those will be there for you as well. And as always, I always do sort of an end of year wrap up, which I will do next week. I usually do a video every other week, but I think based on how the layout or the end of year is falling, I will do another video next Friday to kind of give a capture of what sort of happened with my author career, what I've achieved, what I didn't achieve as far as the end of the year, and also touch a little bit on what I'm going to be doing in the new year. So that's going to be end of year wrap up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that the first week in January, the end of year wrap up, because that'll give me time to kind of put it together and give you a really comprehensive insight into how everything's been going. Because if you've been following this last year, you'll know that I was kind of, or a couple of years, I've kind of on hiatus for 5 years away from writing. I hadn't published a book in 5 years, and for various reasons. But I'm just coming out strong. And these are some of the things that I've been doing in order to get back to where I want to be with my career as far as writing, increasing my sales, all those things. Now, I don't talk a lot about my sales at the moment because, to be honest, they're really not where I want them to be. And I'm still working with strategies, things like that. That's never really been my primary focus when it comes to writing. For me, it's really been about getting my systems in place as far as writing and getting a book out consistently. I've been trying to focus on that. And now that I've kind of, not 100%, but I feel pretty comfortable with my process for that, I'm ready in next year to really tackle book sales and how I can improve my process there. So I hope that you will join me on my journey with that. That's going to be exciting. So anyway, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a wrap up video for what happened in 2025 and some of the things that what I achieved, what didn't work, what worked, and some of the things that I'm going to be taking in with me in 2026. And then I'm going to do another video in January, just sort of giving an overview of some of the goals that I'm setting for myself and some of the things that I want to achieve in the new year as far as my author career. If you like kind of behind the scenes details of what's happening there, I hope that you will join me with those. Sometimes they're some authors like to call the not so sexy part of writing. You know, it's great when you're talking about craft and characters and all those things, and that's important to talk about. But unfortunately, there's other parts of being a writer, which is about, you know, setting up processes to help you, you know, create your characters and outlining or even pasting, all those things that take you from the story idea straight up until the book launches and finding readers and all of those elements. They're all cogs in what I like to call the process and the everyday and the not so sexy part of being an author. But to be honest, those are the things that I love working on and doing, as well as the writing and the craft. So if that is something that you enjoy as well too, and you want to know more about, I hope that you will join me. And one other thing too, I was thinking about, for those of you who've been on this channel a while, you know that the main focus of this channel has been mostly, or used to be mostly, about helping other authors with processes, systems, you know. I did a lot of trainings. So if that is something you're interested in, you can check out some of my older videos. I didn't want to remove them. I wanted to keep them there. But I'm thinking about doing a Patreon that with that training. So it's sort of separate from here so that you really get more you get back to my training. I'm getting back to my training videos as well as providing you with checklists, because I have all of that in place already. And there's a lot of them that I use myself, obviously, because I don't share anything unless it's something that I've used myself. And so if that's something that you're interested in doing, or joining, let me know. It would be very minimal amount. I'm thinking maybe $2, $3 a month. And I would do a training 1 day a month, and that training would include, something within your writing life that will help you get some structure in place, as well as provide you with a resource, whether that's a spreadsheet or a checklist or a Google form, whatever it is that would go with it, whatever I'm using, I should say, because like I said, all the training that I do, I would be giving you things that I've used and that are working for me. So if that's something that you would be interested in, comment in the video and let me know. It's not something, oh, sorry, I'm using a standing thing and it's sort of not liking the weight of my phone on it. But anyway, if that is something that you are interested in or you would like to be included in, let me know. Put a note in the comments or a thumbs up, and let me know, and I will see how many people there are and get started on that, because I realize as I've been moving away from training and doing those training videos and moving away from the K-Writers portion and shutting that down, I've also been doing those trainings in a writing group that I'm a part of. I've done 3 or 4 presentations, and it made me realize how much I enjoy doing those trainings and just helping other authors, like the look on the face of the authors afterwards, or just, it made me realize how much I miss that connection and providing information and resources. So, but I want to make sure that I do it in a way that fits nicely in with my writing life now, and it doesn't overtake it like it did last time. And I'm thinking sort of a once a month training, using resources that I've already have, so I'm not creating necessarily anything new that's going to take away from my time from writing, and my own writing career, because that's one thing I'm trying to really be careful of and keep a balance of. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I am so excited to see where the new year is going to take me. As far as writing, I've got 2 books that I'm looking to put out next year. Book 3 in the series that I'm writing, which is going to be The Trouble with Healers, and the new book, which is going to be Deadly. Sorry, there's so many deadlies. There's like 11 stories. I'm trying to think. Deadly Rivalry. Deadly Rivalry. So I am looking for that, and that is technically book 4 in my Deadly series, but I am so excited to share that with you. It's one that has been percolating for a while, like all my stories. So I'm really excited to finally bring that to fruition next year. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.